guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you a collection of books, a bunch of books, which are kind of different from what I normally read. So they are not fantasy books. The main difference is that these books are like super short. My favorite genre is, fantasy, so I tend to read long ass books. 500 pages is like the average, like the norm, and then it goes on like to 800, 900 and 1200 and so on. I have so many books which are like super popular, some of them even classic and named or listed in the best books of all time kind of books, which are like really short. Like when I say short, like less than 200 pages. So I thought that maybe I should talk about them to you in a video. Hopefully that will help me in remembering these books while I am drafting my deep TBR for the coming months. Enough of that now. Let me go ahead and show you those books. So the first book that I want to show you is The Testament of Mary by Colm Toibin. I hope that's how his name is pronounced. I picked it up, I think, after a review or a recommendation on Brandon's channel, Brandon from Brandon's Bookshelf channel. And what is this book about? This book is about Mary, a mother whose son was taken from her and lost to the world, a woman who lives in exile, watched by those who seek to preserve the sanctity of her son's memory. But Mary's recollections of his difficult life and tragic death are the truth that few who knew her knew her son recognize. As the myths grow around her like walls, so Mary clings to the truth, revealing in a time of turmoil and profound change her own fragile humanity. I hear that this is lyrical, evocative, and beautiful. I really love reading biblical mythology, like Bible-based books. In fact, any Bible-based content. In fact, Ben-Hur is one of my favorite movies, oldie movies, you can say. Even though Jesus makes only very evasive appearance in that movie, we just see his hand or something, but still it was really intriguing for me. So I am looking forward to reading this book. Next up is a book that is definitely one of the greatest books of all time, written by one of the greatest writers of all time, and that is Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. And I am ashamed to admit that I haven't read this book, but it's never too late, right? So I definitely want to read this, and it's just 112 pages. Oh wait, this book, The Testament of Mary, I think, yeah, it's 104 pages, and this one, Metamorphosis, is 112 pages. And what is this about? How significant can a picture of a woman in fur be when you try to hold her dear as the only resemblance left to human life? That's a strangely worded question. I don't know the answer to it. When Gregor Samsa wakes up in his bed, he is aghast to find himself transformed into a giant bug. He is now to spend the rest of his life in that state. Life to him becomes a struggle to align his lingering humanity and his transformed physicality. Thus begins Metamorphosis. Delving into the absurdity of life, the disconnect between mind and body, and limits of sympathy, the book has been cited as one of the seminal works of the 20th century fiction. I get intimidated by, books that are kind of philosophical, but this is so talked about even so many decades, even a century after it was written. So I'm really curious, and even though I'm intimidated, I want to read this. Sometimes it's not the size of the book that intimidates you, it's the content, right? So yeah. Next up is a book by another great author of all time, and I read a book of his called The Stranger, and I'm talking about Albert Camus. And once I read that book, I was like, I really liked it. Again, it's a philosophical book, and I enjoyed the book a lot, and I loved discussing it online in online forums as well. Because I loved that book so much, I wanted to read more from him, and I bought the Myth of Sisyphus. Now, we know who Sisyphus is, right? But I don't know what this book is about. So let's find out. On the cover, it says there is but one truly serious philosophical problem, and that is suicide. So the synopsis is inspired by the myth of the man condemned to ceaselessly push a rock up a mountain and watch it roll back to the valley below. The myth of Sisyphus transformed 20th century philosophy with its impassioned argument for the value of life in a world without religious meaning. Oh, okay. I think I will love this book. This one is right up my alley. The argument for value of life in a world without religious meaning. I am totally in for this. Okay, I need to prioritize this one. Okay, this book has been with me like, I don't know, for like 2 years or something, and I never bothered to even read what this book is about. I bought it based on utter reliance on my love for Albert Camus after reading The Stranger. So, okay, this is good. I want to read this. Next up is A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf. What does the back cover say? Lock up your libraries if you like, but there is no gate, no lock, no bolt that you can set upon the freedom of my mind. That is true. If Shakespeare had a sister as talented as he, would she have got the same opportunities to develop her skills? I don't know. What do you think? Constructed around Woolf's idea that to write fiction, a woman must have money and a room of her own, this revolutionary work depicts a woman's predicament as she struggles deep within for some place of her own where she can work without restrictions. That's too much to ask a woman. Why does she need her own room? It brings forth the differences, biases, and conventional attitudes that have caused immense suffering to women across the centuries. A major work of the 20th century feminist literature, A Room of One's Own, is an extended essay based on a series of lectures titled Women and Fiction, delivered at two women's colleges in Cambridge. More than half a century after its publication, this book continues to be an inspiration for women across the globe. I want to read this. I don't care if you call me and label me a feminist. I don't give anything, basically. But I want to read that book. Next up, this is a pretty cover. I love the color of this book as well. It's called The Wandering Falcon by Jamil Ahmad. And it is winner of the Shakti Bhatt First Book Prize, shortlisted for the Commonwealth Book Prize and the Man Asian Literary Prize. It is something, right? Let's read the synopsis. The Wandering Falcon is the unforgettable story of a boy known as Torbaz, the Black Falcon, who wanders between the tribes in the remote tribal areas where Pakistan, Iran, and Afghanistan meet, defying his fate and surviving against all odds. The world he inhabits is fragile and unforgiving, one that is fast changing as it confronts modernity. In Jamil Ahmad's award-winning debut, this highly traditional, honor-bound culture is revealed from the inside for the first time with vivid color and imagination. I am definitely up for this because I read A Thousand Splendid Suns by Khalid Hosseini, set in Afghanistan. And I really loved reading about the culture and the people. And obviously the story was very touching as well. So it's one of my favorite books of all time. I think that this book is along the same vibe, so definitely up for this. Those were the really, really small ones here, which are definitely below 200. Now, there are some books that I have here which are like around 200, like very close to 200, yeah? So that's why they're in a separate bunch. First in this bunch is Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat by Oliver Sacks. I really don't know what this book is about. It's also a very short book. If a man has lost a leg or an eye, he knows he has lost a leg or an eye. But if he has lost a self, himself, he cannot know it because he is no longer there to know it. In this extraordinary book, Dr. Oliver Sacks recounts the stories of patients struggling to adapt to often bizarre worlds of neurological disorder. Here are people who can no longer recognize everyday objects or those who they love, who are stricken with violent tics or shout involuntary obscenities, who have been dismissed as autistic or retarded yet are gifted with uncanny artistic or mathematical talents. That's true because, in my company does recruit people with autism, because they are really, really good at executing certain tasks, repeated tasks and all that. So we cannot do that. They have this kind of focus that people who are not autistic cannot achieve, and so they are recruited to do those kind of specialized jobs. And I really appreciate my company for that. Inconceivably strange, these brilliant tales illuminate what it means to be human. Next up is a book based on recommendation from one of my favorite authors, and that is Jenny Words. Because I love murder mysteries and generally mysteries and thrillers, suspense, she introduced an author to me whom I had never heard of before, and that is Dick Francis. And she said that his Rat Race is a great, great book. Now, even though I don't like the cover match, I don't like horse riding, I don't like people doing anything with animals or misusing them. Let's see what the synopsis says. Matt Shore is a pilot down on his luck. Once he had flown big jets and dropped supplies in war zones. Now he's ferrying high-class passengers between English race courses. But when one eventful trip ends with his plane exploding in a ball of fire, Matt knows he's not that unlucky. When the police confirm it was a bomb, Matt realizes he has a problem. One of his passengers must have been the target. The question is who? Matt needs to find out fast because he's scheduled to ferry the same people over the coming weeks. Can Matt stay alive long enough to stop the bomber? This is a classic mystery from Dick Francis, the champion of English storytellers. Now this is like 190 pages in my copy and like big font as well. So this should be an easy read. And because this has been recommended by Jenny Words, I cannot wait to get to it. But I don't know when I can squeeze this in, but hopefully very soon. Next three books that I have, guys, are like classics, okay? Everyone and their mother would have heard about these books. And first one in that is Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. So now I remember having this book to read in high school, but I don't remember the book. I remember some of the characters, in fact. I didn't have this book. I had a version which was I don't think I had the whole book. I don't remember, but I definitely remember a character called Silver, I think. So Silver, I think, and also this pirate with one wooden leg and all that. So I remember that much. That's all I remember about Treasure Island. So that's a shame, right? So I want to read this book, and I don't think I will read the synopsis because it, even though I haven't read it, I'm sure you guys would have read it. So I will skip reading the synopsis for this one. Next up is another classic, but this is from science fiction, and that is Time Machine by H.G. Wells. Now, I love a good science fiction story. I love time travel. In fact, I cannot get enough of time travel stories, just not enough. So there is no discernible explanation of why I haven't read this book yet. Last but not the least in this list is this classic, Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. Now, again, I don't know what this book is about, but I know this book. I know this is a great book. I know this author. I know this is a classic. I know people love and adore this book a lot. That's all I know about this book. So maybe I will read the synopsis for this last one, even though you might already know what this is all about. The terrifyingly prophetic novel of a post-literate future. Prophetic novel of a post-literate future, okay? Guy Montag is a fireman. His job is to destroy the most illegal of commodities, the source of all discord and happiness, the printed book. Okay. Yes, for some people. Montag never questions the destruction or his own bland life until he is shown a past where people didn't live in fear and a present where one sees the world through ideas. Montag starts hiding books in his own home. Soon they will make him run for his life. Of course, because books are dangerous. Do not read them. Winner of the 2007 Pulitzer Prize. Oh, okay, so it's not that old book. Okay, I thought this was like written in like 60s or 70s or something. Oh yeah. Okay, sorry, I was wrong. It was written in 1953. But then why did it win the Pulitzer Prize? Oh, okay, this is special citation. Sorry, I'm dumb. Ignore me. Most of the times when I say or declare that I want to read this book, I want to read that book, most of the times it's like I might read it, right? But these are books so short that I have no excuses and I will definitely read them before the end of... Oh, no. Let me not commit to 2023, but at least before the first half of 2024. That's all I can promise. I cannot promise anytime before that. So that's today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have read any of these books, please let me know what you think about them. If you have an opinion of which should I prioritize among these books, also let me know in the comments below. I will be back soon with another video before you know it. Until then, keep reading. This is Angie signing off. Bye-bye.